Hello, everyone. Here's your weather hazard briefing for Saturday, August 27th. We do have critical fire conditions, red flag warnings for the portions of the Central Mountains and the South Hills, Albion Mountains. It's going to be breezy across the board today. We're going to have some gusty winds, creating some tricky driving, some larger vehicles, and also for boaters on American Falls Reservoir. Going back to red flag conditions, we'll see some localized critical fire weather conditions where we see some lower humidity and gusty winds outside of the areas of the Central Mountains and the South Hills, but nothing widespread at this point. A few showers and storms today with the front. It's going to be cooler behind that front, but a quick return to warm and dry conditions under high pressure next week. Looking over, we had thunderstorms and potential lightning strikes yesterday. We had a few storms over the Arco Desert, also back towards Cary and Fairfield. But most of the activity was down towards Malad, down towards Holbrook, and east of I-15 into the mountains up into Wyoming and Montana. Satellite loop shows an area of low pressure across southern Canada, the northern tier of stage shifting east and eventually southeast through tomorrow. Most of the wind and moisture is going to be tracking to the north with this storm today. We'll see a few showers possibly down to the southeast. Otherwise, looks like it may be it for a while in terms of getting some cool conditions and also some showers and thunderstorms in the area. Looking at that weather risk outlook, we have moderate impacts with the gusty winds and pockets of low humidity over the Snake Plain and Magic Valley. You can see where we have major impacts, where we have red flag warnings in effect over the South Hills, up towards Chalice, up towards Mackay, also up into Limhi County as well. You'll see a few showers over the area, but the only real risk of thunderstorms, and that's only about a 20% chance of a thunderstorm, is up around the Island Park area, up towards that area and the Montana border into Montana and over towards Yellowstone. Otherwise, tomorrow we may see some impacts from the wind across portions of the Snake Plain and Magic Valley down to the south, especially where we can get some low pockets of lower humidity to remain in place. Now, here's where the precipitation for today is expected. You don't see much, just a few hundredths up to the north. Maybe between Monida Pass and Sawtell Peak, we might see a tenth of an inch or more, but that percentage is only about a 30 to 40% chance. So you can see where it's going to rain today, but is that the only place we're going to see a few showers? Not likely. You'll notice we go through the morning, maybe a shower or two over the Central Mountains, but we get towards late morning, early afternoon, a little more development. Not much, just kind of picking where it looks like at least the trend begins. Up around Mackay, Mount Bora, up towards Gilmore Summit and Lone Pine, maybe back towards Lador and Salmon. But you'll notice going into the later in the afternoon, that trend is for that development to hug the Montana border, maybe just a little south of that, and shifting into southern Montana and the West Yellowstone area. And that's where down south, down towards Afton, Montpelier, and Bear Lake, maybe back towards Malad and Malta, we'll see a few showers. I don't think we'll see enough instability for thunder down in those areas for later on today. But by the time we get after sunset, it looks like we are done. Going back and looking at the rest of the forecast for today and beyond, you'll notice the lowest humidity is over the lower elevations of the Central Mountains down into the teens. Also, lower elevations of the Southern Highlands and pockets across the Southeast Highlands and the Snake Plain as well. Looking at the wind, most of us seeing wind gusts 25 to 35, but once you get into the Snake Plain, up towards DuBois, back down towards the Shoshone lava beds, gusts of 40, maybe low 50s across those areas. And certainly the higher elevations of the Central Mountains, we're seeing some gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour. And the higher elevations down south around 30 to 40 miles per hour in some locations. For temperatures today, it's only going to be in the 60s and 70s if you're headed up into the high country of the Central Mountains, 70s and 80s in the valleys, and that's the same pretty much elsewhere. We might eat close to 90 down between American Falls and Burley, also down towards Declo in that area, City of Rocks, and down towards Holbrook. For tomorrow morning, it's going to be a cool one for some of us. Stanley below freezing, also Copper Basin potentially below freezing, it looks like at this point, but that's nothing new for this time of year around those areas. Otherwise, 40s and 50s down low, some 30s up in the higher elevations, up around Island Park, the Tetons, also up into the Central Mountains. For tomorrow, we still continue with the areas seeing humidity at or below 15%. Some gusts along the benches around 25 to 30 miles per hour. Also, the higher elevations of the south East Highlands and also down towards the City of Rocks, that area, the South Hills, Albion Mountains. But the strongest gusts are looking at 30 to 40 from basically the INL southwest across the craters of the moon on into the Magic Valley. And cooler tomorrow, 70s and 80s in the lower elevations, 60s once again for the higher elevations of the Central Mountains. So definitely a chilly weekend, or a chillier weekend than down low for sure, and probably what we've seen for a while in those areas. And temperatures tomorrow morning or Monday morning will be even cooler. Similar areas at or below freezing around the Stanley Basin and Copper Basin for Monday morning. So definitely a chill in the air in those areas. But we start to warm up Monday, Tuesday. Look at those 90s quickly return even up into the valleys of the Central Mountains. By the time we get to the middle of next week, plenty of 90s over the lower elevations. Mid to upper 90s from Pocatello westward. We might see 100 once you get over towards Mountain Home. Looking at plenty of 70s and 80s in the higher elevations. Chalice and Stammen in the mid 90s by the time we get to the middle part of next week. And that 6 to 10 today outlook, that's through Labor Day, confirms the continuation of very high probability of above normal temperatures, not necessarily showing the degree on these maps of how much above normal, but the certainty or uncertainty in this case. Very likely we'll see above normal conditions through Labor Day in terms of temperatures, and below normal precipitation rainfall across our area through the same period. So once again, critical fire conditions, red flag warnings for portions of the Central Mountains and also the South Hills and Albion Mountains. There'll be a few spots elsewhere that will be probably hitting critical fire conditions with that combination of wind and RH. And like we said, pretty much breezy everywhere across the region today. A few showers and storms closer to the Montana border on down across the southeast highlands for this afternoon and evening. Otherwise, we're dry. It will be warmer next week once high pressure moves in. It'll be a little cooler on Sunday behind this front, but with high pressure building in, definitely warmer and drier conditions heading into next week. Have a great day, have a great weekend, and stay safe out there, everyone.